In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Good morning, everyone. Now we are going to deal with our new program for mathematics department in Tabarak Private School with you, teacher Muhammad Albadry, with grade 11 mathematics teachers, and we are going to deal with the lesson of the sum to infinity. And before everything, we have to say big thanks for the chairman, Mr. Yunus Al-Rahbi. Now we are going to start with our new lesson, the sum to infinite.
How are you, my dear students? In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, I am Mr. Muhammad Al-Badri, teaching grade 11 bilingual. Welcome to our private school Tabarak. From our educational platform, we have to thank our chairman, Mr. Yunus Al-Rahbi, who gives us this wonderful opportunity to contact with our dear students. And the lesson today is about how could we solve absolute value equations. Solving absolute values of equations, we have to know this and what is the absolute value. The absolute value of a number is the number of units. It's from 0 on the number line. Like 5 and negative 5 have the same absolute value. The symbol absolute value x represents the absolute value of the number x. Now for solving absolute value equations, absolute value is denoted by the pairs, like what we have here, two pairs in the opposite directions of any number of any expression. We can say it absolute value of 3. Absolute value represents the distance a number is from 0. Thus it's always positive because we don't have any distance with negative sign. So the absolute value of 8 is 8, and the absolute value of negative 8 equals 8. Now here we have some examples. The absolute value of negative 1000 equals 1000, and the absolute value of 4 equals 4. So we have to try yourself now. The absolute value of 15 equals 15, and the absolute value of negative 23 equals, yes, it equals 23. Absolute value can also be defined as if a greater than 0, then absolute value of a equals a, and if a is smaller than 0, then absolute value of a equals negative a. Solving absolute value equations. Firstly, we have to know that isolate the absolute value expression. Set up two equations to solve it. For the first equation, drop the absolute value pairs and solve the equation as it is. For the second equation, drop the pairs, negate the opposite side, and solve the equation. So in another idea, we are going to solve it in two different ways. The first, as it is, without the absolute value pairs, and the second, we have to change the sign of one side of them. Always check to know if your solution is correct or no. Now we can evaluate expressions that contains absolute value symbol. Think of the pairs as grouping symbols. Evaluate 9x minus 3 absolute value plus 5 if x equals negative 2. So let's substitute it here. We will have 9 times negative 2. I have 9 times negative 2 minus 3 plus 5 equals what? 9 times negative 2, negative 18. Negative 18, negative 3, it will be negative 21. The absolute value of negative 21 will be 21 plus 5, 6. Now equations may also contain absolute value expressions. When solving an equation, isolate the absolute value expression. Firstly, we have to rewrite the equation as two separate equations. Consider the equation absolute value x equals 3. The equation has two solutions since x can equal 3 or negative 3. Solve each equation and always check your solution. Example, solve absolute value of x plus 8 equals to 3. So here we have to put it in two separate equations. X plus 8 equals to positive 3 and x plus 8 equals to negative 3. When x plus 8 equals to 3, move 8 to the other side, we will have x equals negative 3. Move 8 to the other side, we will have x equals negative 5. And for the opposite equation here, we have x plus 8 equals to negative 3, so x equals to negative 11. To check our solutions here, we have substituted. So minus 5 plus 8, it will be 3. And negative 11 plus 8 equals to negative 3, and the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. So absolute value of 3 and absolute value of negative 3, both of them equals to 3. So the two solutions are acceptable. Now for next exercise here, 6 times absolute value of 5x plus 2 equals 312. Firstly, if we want to solve it, we have to make the absolute value sample in one side, like solving equations. So it will be, we have to divide it by 6. Firstly, we have here isolate that the absolute value expression by dividing by 6. Dividing by 6 will be 5x plus 2 equals 52, to cancel 6 from the left side. And after that, we have set up two equations to solve it by make it positive 52 and negative 52. And solve it easy. Now we will have 5x equals to 50 and 5x equals negative 54. So x equals to 10 or x equals to negative 10.8. To check it, we have to substitute the values. We are going to find it the same values, so both of them are acceptable. Yes. To solve 3 times x plus 2, absolute value minus 7. Firstly, we have to move minus 7 to the right side, and after that divide it by 3. Isolate the absolute value expression by adding 7 and dividing by 3. So 3 times absolute value of x plus 2 minus 7 equals to 14. It will be 3 times absolute value of x plus 2 equals 14 plus 7 equals 21. And we are going to divide by 3. Divide by 3. We will have x plus 2 absolute value equals 7. Now do the two equations. We have to set up two equations to solve it. The first part equals positive 7 and the second equals to negative 7. And move to the other side. Second equals to negative 7. And move to the other side by negative 2. We will have it x equals 5 minus 2 equals 5. Sorry, for the first one, x equals 7 plus, minus 2 equals 5. And the second one will be x equals minus 7 minus 2 equals to minus 9. To check it, I have to put it in the standard functions by 5 one time and by negative 9 for the other time. So we will have it in each time is equals to 14. So the answers is correct, like what we have in the blue steps. And for the next exercise here, we have to try this. Solve y plus 4, absolute value negative 3 equal to 0. Now if you want to solve it, we have directly to add 3 to both sides to cancel negative 3 from the left side. We have it y plus 4 absolute value equals 3. Now we are going to do two steps here, two equations, 3 and negative 3. So we will have for the left one it will be y equals negative 1, and for the right we will have it y equals negative 7. Now check it. Substitute the value of y with negative 1 and negative 7. We will have the steps here. It will be 3, 0 equal to 0 on each side here. So our solutions are correct. Now if you want to solve it, add an equality to x plus 4 greater than 12 into inequalities like what we have here, greater than the positive and smaller than the negative. If you remember it like what we studied in the first semester in the quadratic inequalities, how could we solve it? We have here greater than positive numbers, so we are going to solve it in two separate inequalities: greater than the greatest number, smaller than the smallest number. But here what the numbers, the positive and the negative values, and solve it. Here for the left one we will have 2x plus 4 greater than 12. Move 4 to the other side, we will have 2x greater than 8, and divide 2, so x greater than 4. And for the negative value we will have 2x plus 4 smaller than negative 12. We will have 2x smaller than negative 16. Divide 2. Now we have x smaller than negative 8, so x smaller than negative 8 or x greater than 4. On the number line, like what we have it here, smaller than negative 8 going to the left and greater than 4 going to the right. Solve here this absolute value. Smaller than 10. Here we have smaller than positive number. It will be greater than the smallest and smaller than the greatest. Like what we have it, smaller than 5 and greater than negative 5. So if you want to solve it here, 4 minus x smaller than 5, it will be 5 minus 4 equals to 1, and divided by negative 1 in each side, so x becomes greater than negative 1, and 4 minus x greater than negative 5, so we have minus x greater than negative 9, divided by negative 1 each side, we will have x smaller than 9, so the answer will be x greater than negative 1 smaller than 9. And our solution here, these circles are not shaded, so here we have it like what we have between negative 1 and 9. For 3d minus 9 absolute value plus 6 equals to 0. Firstly, if we want to do it, we have to change 6 to the other side to be negative 6 to 0. Firstly, if we want to do it, we have to change 6 to the other side to be negative 6. If we have negative number on the right side and the other side is absolute value, so we don't have any absolute value equals to negative sign. So there is no need to go any further with this problem because absolute value is never negative. Therefore, the solution is the empty. Now we have to solve 3 times x minus 5 absolute value equals to 12. So if you want to do it, we have to divide it by 3 firstly. So x minus 5 equals to 4, and solve it in two separate equations, one of them positive 4 and the other one negative 4. So x minus 5 equals to 4 and x minus 5 equals to minus 4. Move 5 to the other side, we will have it 4 plus 5 equals to 9 and negative 4 plus 5 equals to positive 1. If we want to check it, we have to substitute in each time, one of the first time by 9 and the second time by 1, so we will have it 12 equals to 12, so both of them is acceptable. Now for this exercise, solve the absolute value of 8 plus 5, a equals 14 minus a. 8 plus 5, a equals 14 minus a. To solve it here, we have to make both sides, one of them the first time positive as it is, and the second by negative sign, like what we have in the blue lines. Now, after setting up your two equations, but make sure to negative the entire right side of the second equation. So it becomes 8 plus 5a equals 14 minus a, and 8 plus 5a, and 8 plus 5a equals negative 14 plus a. Solve it easy now. Move the collect the like terms together. We will have 6a equal to 6. So divide 6 by 6, so a equals to 1. And for the right side here we have 8 plus 5a equals negative 14 plus a. Now collect the like terms. We will have it 4a equals negative 22. Divide 4, so a equals negative 5.5. Now if we want to check our solutions, we will have the same values, so acceptable. Now we have to know how could we solve x. Absolute value of x minus 3 equals to absolute value of 5 minus x. To know it, we have to do it like what we just did it in the previous exercise. We are going to cancel the modulus signs for the left solution, and one of them positive and the other one becomes negative, to solve it into different solutions. So for the left solution here, we have x minus 3 equals 5 minus x, and collect the x's together, we will have 2x minus 3 equals to 5, and move negative 3 to the other side, will be 2x equals 8, so x equals 4. And for the right here, we have to do it negative, so it becomes x minus 3 equals negative times 5 minus x, and simplify it, will be negative 5 negative 5 and plus x. Now move the x's together in one side and collect them, so to be x minus x equal minus 3 equals minus 5, so you will have it minus 3 finally equals minus 5. So here we have two different values, not the same value, so it will be false, not acceptable. So the solution here is 4. It will be false, not acceptable. So the solution here is 4.
Thank you for listening for our explaining, and I hope you enjoy with us. And the homework, you can find it in the model and in your contact number in the WhatsApp and on the model. Thank you very much.